Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. This is the second hour of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Glad to have you in the conversation. Let's see where we want to start in this hour. Just read a story. We've talked to you about this Fisker, this Karma, Fisker Karma. Karma's the name of the car. $103,000 for this thing. And if you remember, oh man, you know, it's one of those electric cars. You know, Boeing just about grounded their 787. And the reason, these lithium-ion batteries, they're good in small applications like cell phones and stuff like that. But you try to make them do too much, and they can burst into flames on you. In fact, there was a story a few years ago about a guy with a cell phone, and it burst into flames while he's holding up next to his ear. Burned half his face. And it was a lithium-ion battery that just suddenly exploded and started burning. Well, that, you know, the Boeing 787, this is their new flagship plane, and they basically had to recall them all. They just put a different kind of battery. I don't know if it's lithium-ion or not. I haven't been able to get details on that. But it was this lithium-ion battery that kept bursting into flames in mid-flight. These 787s having fires break out in the battery compartment. Well, they obviously can't have that, so the whole thing got grounded. And they don't need to use lithium-ion batteries. It's just the environmentalists are pushing them to do it, somehow saying this is ecologically more sensitive. And it turns out that those lithium-ion batteries, I mean, they are death on wheels recycling. I mean, all the acids and the stuff they've got in them. I mean, environmentalists will tell you, if they're honest with themselves, they are an ecological nightmare. They have to be disposed of at some point. And all that stuff leaching into the ground and all that. I mean, they're just bad idea all the way around, and nearly took the 787. I mean, Boeing could have gone down. I hope this new battery works. I hope it's not a lithium-ion battery. I hope it works. But we'll have to wait and see. But the Fisker, the problem with this Fisker is $103,000. Consumer Reports did a big deal on it. They were going to evaluate it. The thing quit. It died on them at the track where they were going to put it through its paces. Never even got started. It quit. And they had to haul it off on the back of a flatbed. That's the only way you can. You can't tow them. You gotta hoist it up on a flatbed and cart it off and get a whole new battery assembly, which is like $35,000. And if you let that $35,000 battery assembly drain completely, the whole car becomes a brick. It doesn't roll. You can't move it. You can't push it. It just sits there, and you have to winch it off the ground and hoist it up to a flatbed. So Consumer Reports says, yeah, we were going to put it through its paces. It quit. You know, and the head of Fisker said, oh, this is terrific, because all of the warning lights came on just like we said it would. The alert system worked perfectly. We're so proud of how this Fisker performed. It stopped dead in its tracks. And then finally, they did get a Fisker out there for Consumer Reports to look at, and they rated it as the worst luxury sedan on the market. Remember, Fisker got $529 million from you and me, our money, and they immediately shut down the plant in Delaware where they were going to make it, and they outsourced all of the building of these cars to Finland. So that's where the cars were going to be made, was in Finland. Fisker, despite taking $529 million of our taxpayer money, has not produced one single solitary car in the United States. Not one. And now they're going bankrupt. But back to the Consumer Reports thing. They rated this Karma, $103,000 you got to spend for this electric car, as the worst luxury sedan that money can buy. Here's what Consumer Reports says. With the Karma, much attention has been paid to our unfortunately routine problems, including an early failure on our track that left the car immobile, frequent instrument, window, and radio glitches, recurring warning lights. So far, our Karma has made multiple trips back to the dealer, who, by the way, has provided excellent service flatbedding the car to and from our facility on the way to get it there. As for the $107,000 Karma, Consumer Reports found that only a few other flaws that led it to rank it as the worst luxury sedan and fourth worst sedan overall of those it has rated. So it's the worst luxury sedan, the fourth worst sedan overall, and you're paying $107,000 for this. Here are some of the problems: insufficient seating space, poor visibility, complicated dash controls, lack of accessibility, noisiness, minimal storage, and long recharging times, as if you didn't know all about that. The car was poorly assembled with big gaps between indoor components and exterior panels. You know, and I had a memory, I looked this up at the news break, I had a memory that there were all these engine fires associated with the Fisker Karma, and sure enough, this was back in May of 2012, so just less than a year ago. One of these Fisker Karmas caught on fire in a guy's garage and burned his car down, and I don't know if it burned the house down, but it burned his garage down, burned the two other cars he had in the garage down, incinerated. I'm looking at a picture of it, just a big cinder block. And they determined that the Karma was responsible, that there's simply not enough room in the engine compartment for all of the stuff. And they had a picture of it with the hood up. And I mean, stuff is just wedged in there in a great tightness. There is simply no room, and that's the problem. The investigators said, look, there's no opportunity for this engine to breathe. So as the engine runs, all of this heat builds up in the engine compartment. It's got no place to go. There's no proper ventilation for this thing. So all that heat is going to get trapped inside the engine compartment. You know, and the guy whose house it was said that he pulled the car into the garage, and less than 3 minutes later, the car was in flames. It was not even plugged in before it burst into flames. Brand new car, still had paper tags on it, 60 days old at most. And now we find out, I told you this last week, but I just wanted to give you some more of the backstory. And they're bankrupt. They're out of business. They were selling these cars for $103,000. You know how much they spent to make each one of those cars? Remember, lack seat space, no accessibility, no storage. It'll start a fire that'll burn your house down. They spent $660,000 to make a $103,000 car. I mean, that is, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a sound business plan. What's your business plan? Well, hey, it's great. We're going to sell every unit we make for over $100,000. This is a great business plan. We're going to make bank. We're going to sell every unit for $103,000 or $107,000. All right, fine. How much is it going to cost you to make it? Well, it's going to cost us $660,000 to make each one of these things. You know, I mean, just the lunacy here. You know, and we just threw $529 right down $529 million right down a rat hole in order to fund this thing, and it'll burn your house down, your cars, your garage, and the whole shooting match. All right, when we come back, we will shift gears a little bit. Oh, by the way, catastrophic global warming alert. 79% of the United States is below normal in temperature in the year 2013. I repeat, 79% of the United States below normal temperature so far in 2013. Back in 2.